out drops of blood. At this time, Judas comes and he betrays him with a kiss. They take Jesus, and on Friday, real early in the morning, probably after midnight, Thursday, Friday, his trial begins. And during his trial, we see, which is known as Good Friday, because he will be crucified about 9 o'clock a.m. Jesus endures the shame, the accusation, the condemnation, the mockery, the beatings, and the abandonment of everybody that's with him. But we'll see that Friday morning, here he is, Good Friday. This is happening. Then his trial takes place, but there's something that happens in his trial that I want to speak about today. Let's look at Exodus. I'm sorry. John chapter 18. When you got it, say amen. This is where we're stopping. Jesus is getting tried. He goes to the priest. The priest tries him. As a matter of fact, they try him unlawfully. They're not following all the ways that they're supposed to try a person. They're doing it at night for one, and that's against Jewish law. When you got it, say amen. So here we're going to stop. We see that the trial, something took place. Pilate begins to question Jesus. Here's what Pilate says. John 18. We'll start at verse... let's start at 28. Okay, then they led Jesus from Caiaphas to the Praetorium. Is that how you pronounce that? And it was very early, but they themselves did not go into the Praetorium lest they should be defiled, but that they might not eat the Passover. Pilate then went out to them and said, "What accusation do you bring against this man?" Verse 30 says, "They answered and said to him, 'If he were not an evildoer, we would not have delivered him to you.' Then Pilate said to them, 'You take him and judge him according to your law.' Therefore the Jews said to him, 'It is not lawful for us to put anyone to death,' that the saying of Jesus might be fulfilled, which he spoke, signifying by what death he would die. Then Pilate entered the Praetorium again and called Jesus, and he said to him, 'Are you the king of the Jews?' Jesus answered him, 'Are you speaking for yourself about this, or did others tell you this concerning me?' Pilate answered, 'I am a Jew. Am I a Jew? Your own nation, the chief priests, have delivered you to me. What have you done?' Jesus answered, 'My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would fight so that I would not be delivered to the Jews. But now my kingdom is not from here.' Pilate therefore said to him, 'Are you a king then?' Jesus answered, 'You say rightly that I am a king. For this cause I was born. For this cause I came into the world, that I should bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice.' Pilate answered to him, 'What is truth?' And then he said this, and when he said this, he went out again to the Jews and said to him, 'I find no fault in him.'" What we see here in the scripture, Pilate makes a claim. He says, first Jesus says, "For this cause I was born, and for this cause I came into the world, that I should bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice." And Pilate brings out what is truth. Tonight we're going to look at what truth really is. Because I mentioned this when I was taking up an offering during conference, that there's an attack on truth. The biggest attack we're going to have in our generation is an attack on truth and what real truth is. Because if you could look at it philosophically, you could look at it through science, or you could look at it through theology. and you'll find they'll define truth differently. And depending on how you're looking at it and how your worldview, your truth will be different. But Jesus said that he came to, that he should bear witness to the truth. And Pilate, that question has been asked for centuries. What is truth? So we're going to look at real quick, what is truth? Before we know what truth is, we got to look at what truth isn't. Real quickly, let me say this. Truth is not simply whatever works. This philosophy is pragmatism, it's called. It's an ends versus means type of approach. In reality, lies can appear to work, but they are still lies and not truth. Truth is not simply what is coherent or understandable. A group of people can get together and form a conspiracy based on a set of falsehoods where they all agree to tell the same false story, but it does not make their presentation true. We see this in the trial that we just seen with Jesus. Truth is not what makes people feel good. Unfortunately, bad news can be true. Okay, we'll see this in society and the culture that we live in, that truth is what makes people feel good. And they believe if it makes you feel good, it has to be true. Truth is not what the majority says is true. 51% of a group of people can reach a wrong conclusion. And society leans on this statement also, that just because a group of people believe a majority, that it is true. Truth is not what is comprehensive. This is what truth is not now. A lengthy, detailed presentation can still result in a false conclusion. Truth is not defined as what is intended. Good intentions can still be wrong. Truth is not how we know truth. Truth is not how we know. Truth is what we know. Truth is not simply what is believed. A lie believed is still a lie. And last of all, truth is not what is publicly proved. A truth can be privately known. For example, truth, the location of a buried treasure is not publicly known, but it's still truth. All right? So that's what truth is not. But like I said, there's an attack to desensitize and obscure what is true. From the beginning of time, we see in the scriptures that Satan tried to muddy these waters on what should be true and what should be called true and what reality is. In Genesis 3:1, he says, did God really say? He said that concerning the fruit to Eve. Did God really say you shouldn't eat out of all the fruit? In Genesis, same chapter, he said, did God really say you shall surely die? He's telling some truth there, but he's kind of blurring the lines of what real truth is. He's trying to, get it where it's fuzzy, where it sounds true, and it probably is good. There is some truth in it, but it's not the whole truth. And we're going to see tonight that society has sucked into this. It's bleeding into the church. It's maybe even bleeding into some of our lives. And if you're not living a truthful life, you're not going to be set free. And we're going to see that tonight, how society is just believing a lie. In John 8:44, the scripture tells us that Satan does not stand in truth because there's no truth in him. When he speaks, it is a lie, and he's a liar and the father of all lies. So we know that's his nature, to not tell the truth. Fun to get go. And that's what he's trying to do with us. Not only us, but he already has the world. The unsaved world, he has them believing a lie. The first lie that he really has them believing is their origins. In other words, where they came from. In most academia today, we're told that our origins are from billions of years ago. Life came from something that just happened. They call it the Big Bang. I'm sure we've all heard of this. And anyone that believes anything different is foolish or ignorant. But you could speak to your children today and ask them what is being taught in school for how we came about and what we're about, why we're here. As they get older, as they get into university and stuff, it gets even worse. You'll see that they'll make fun of the Christian. And I'll go over that in a little bit. But it's just that academia just totally ignores anything, any origin of life, anything to do with the origin of life being intelligent design. Our beliefs on intelligent design are being attacked. The theory is being preached to all our children and our grandchildren. I guarantee you, ask your kids in school what they teach in science concerning our origins. You know, the sad part about this is that most of these theories, they came up from Christians that backslid. 90% of these theories came up like that. From that, we know the story of. I won't get into them. Anyways, but 90% of all these theories came from Christians that backslid. There's an attack today on the truth of marriage and the sanctity of marriage and the sanctity on life and when life begins. In the dictionary, the Bible, the dictionary says this about marriage, what the definitions of marriage is. It's the legal or formal recognized union of two people as partners in a personal relationship. Historically, in some jurisdictions, specifically a union between a man and a woman. Now, it's leaving the window open on the definitions of marriage. You ask any unsaved people on their opinion on same-sex marriage or relationships, and most of them will respond, as long as they're not hurting no one, big deal. Or as long as they're two consenting adults, why should we care about it? Are you with me? Has anybody heard? You ask any young unsaved mind how they feel about the sanctity of marriage and how is marriage constituted of a man and a woman. And right now, especially in the higher grade, it's being watered down. It's not, the holy matrimony is not there no more, church. Something is happening to truth. And it's not gonna just happen overnight, but it'll filter in little by little. Everything you watch on TV, the sanctity of marriage is shot. It's not our Christian beliefs. Every billboard you see, every commercial you see, the sanctity of marriage and life, where life begins as a baby, is gone. It's shot. Are you with me? You know, when you think about it, a young unsaved mind, that'll sound pretty convincing to them. You know what I mean? That, hey, as long as, you're consenting adults and you're happy and you're not hurting nobody, who cares? You know what I mean? Pastor Richard spoke on the sanctity of life during the conference. Good message. Nothing else has to be said about that. If you're watching the news and you're seeing people preparing for the 2020 election, most Democratic candidates are caving into the abortion at any time. They have such a liberal agenda. It's like they're just, hey, you guys are just not tolerant enough. You're not the right is not tolerant enough, regarding same-sex marriage or regarding abortion, and it's just being pounded and pounded and pounded into people's minds. And eventually, if it's pounded enough, you're going to be like, you know what? There's really nothing bad about it, is it? I mean, I heard this. I seen this debate about this atheist and this Christian apologist, and he was saying, you know what? This was a while back. They were debating on morality issues, and he said, you know what? Mark my words. I guarantee you, eventually the Christian church is going to allow same-sex marriage. He goes, let me prove it to you like this. He goes, long time ago, if you read your Bible, they talked about slavery and stuff. They talked about women being he's taking scripture out of context, but he say they talked about this, they talked about that. Now, as we evolve into a better culture, that no longer exists. He goes, right now, the Christian church, they don't accept same-sex marriage. They don't accept abortion, but eventually they will. It might start off with just 4 weeks or 6 weeks or first trimester, or else, it's all right. They love each other, you know what I mean? God really didn't mean it. God will, it'll just eventually seep into the church. And we see it through in the scriptures, and I'll get to that in a little bit, how things in the world seeped into the church in the Old Testament. Israel, God told them constantly, stay away from the Canaanites, don't marry them, watch what you guys are doing, because it will seep in. And that's a picture on what he's trying to tell us on the church. And I'll get to that in a minute. We see there's the truth on our identity is our people's identity as a person is being skewered. They're trying to blind us on who we are as human beings, as our gender identities. I see. Has anybody seen on YouTube? I think it was on YouTube or someone showed it to me. That this transgender man, he's going nuts in a video store because a poor kid behind the counter tells him, "Sir, you forgot your receipt or something." "I'm not a sir." Has anybody seen that? He's going nuts because they called him sir. And there, and there's an agenda being pushed here. There's a reality show. I think the little kid's name is Jazz. Has anybody heard of that? There's a 13-year-old young boy trying to be a transgender girl. Let's go back 10 years, 15 years. That was unheard of. It's seeping in. It does not start just like sin is crouching at the door. Scripture, you know what I mean? And it does not start off. It's not going to come in here and say, "Hey, you know what? You guys, as Christians, you guys need to be more tolerant, and you need to accept this, you need to accept that." No, it'll creep in little by little by little. How? I don't know. And God forbid the Christian church will not stand for what's truth. Because Jesus said that he came to give truth. That's why he came to die. He said that for this reason I came, that there was no truth. Anyway, so this 13-year-old boy, he's got a reality show. I seen this youngest transgender boy. I think he's 8 or 9 years old, and he's in gay parades. He's at looks like it's at, I don't know. He's dancing on stage. He's dressed like a girl, and there's talking to him. He says, "I just feel, my parents encourage me," and we see parents of these kids just encouraging them. Go ahead and whatever you feel. We're talking about children, kids. These are kids. They don't even got the concept of sex or general, and they're letting them do whatever they think. I think I brought this up once. There was this guy on a university campus. He was a Christian, and he was just trying to see how the campuses think on identity. And he walks up and he's interviewing people, and he says, "Hey, do you believe, what do you believe in? Why, you could believe you are what you are, whatever you feel like you are, you can be." And he goes up and he asks this person, "Well, I feel like I'm a woman. Is that okay?" You obviously, if that's what you believe, as long as you're not hurting nobody. He goes, "All right, let me take a little further. I feel like I'm a Chinese woman. How's that?" Yeah. Hey, whatever. "I feel like I'm like a 60-year-old Chinese woman. How's that?" "Well, and instead of just, the truth is, no, you're not. You're a 30-year-old man." You know what I mean? They're just, they're buying into it. And this is how society is feeding into people. And it's trying to feed into my life, your life, and our kids' lives. Us, we know we're adults. We got our spiritual guard up. But our kids, they're vulnerable. more vulnerable than you think. I guarantee you, ask your kids when you go home, hey, how do you feel about homosexuality? They might tell you, oh, you know what? We don't believe in that. But when they're in school and everyone else is believing in it, that pressure will get to them. Guaranteed. There's an agenda out here. See, I remember, I remember this meme that I saw, and it had like 4 little pictures, and one of the pictures was a woman, and it's a cartoon, or it's a man, and he says, I identify as a woman, and the crowd is saying, yeah, what a hero, great, you're perfect, yeah, go on, go on. Then on the next one, it has this white lady standing there, it's this cartoon, and then she says, I identify as an African American. Has anyone seen that? And then she said, the crowd is yelling out, wow, inspirational, beautiful, you go. And then there's the next one, there's this young girl standing there, and she says, I identify as a cat. And then it says, good for meow, and so brave, yahoo. You know what I mean? Then they have this young kid standing there, and he goes, I identify as a Christian. And we are, it's all of a sudden, weirdo, boo, stop living a fairy tale. And you know what? We laugh about it and we think, but in society today, it's leaning so left, it's so secular that could be said true. That could be true. As a Christian, because we stand on truth, we are looked at as weirdos. And nobody wants to look at as a weirdo or as living a fairy tale, so what do? You start bending the truth. You start giving in. You let a little bit seep in there, you know what I mean? Well, you know, Gabe, it's not that bad, you know what I mean? Maybe some of it is true. You know what? There is, Gabriel, I don't know, it'll start seeping in. Scripture says this, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11 and 12. This is what it says, for this reason, God will send upon them a deluding influence, so they will believe what is false, in order that they all may be judged who did not believe truth, but took pleasure in wickedness. We're speaking about the last days then. How true is that right now? How true is that scripture right now? In closing tonight, the Old Testament, like I said, we constantly see the Israelites being influenced by the culture they live in. God was constantly warning them, don't marry the Canaanites, don't let that culture influence you. And we see, sad truth is we see that they're always returning back to idolatry. They wouldn't completely turn to God. You see, they left the Asherah poles on the what does it say, on the hilltops. Constantly, they didn't completely purge themselves. They left an opening constantly. The culture would come in. You know what I mean? They're living in it's just like us. We're living in a culture, and it'll constantly bombard you, and just pounding on you, hoping that eventually you might give in. That your worldview will change. Because if your worldview changes, your whole family under you changes. Everybody under you will change. We'll see everything that is sacred is being played down in the world we live in as not being holy. Nothing is holy no more. Nothing is sacred no more. Well, I'm here to tell you, God is still a holy God. He is still righteous. He still is truth. And that you can stand on this truth. And we will be judged by this truth. Robert Zacharias, he put it this way. The fact is, the truth matters, especially when you're on the receiving end of a lie. And nowhere is this more important than in the area of faith and religion. Eternity is an awful long time to be wrong. back to Pilate. We see Pilate and Jewish leaders, they thought they were judging Christ. They thought, oh, we got him on trial, we're judging Christ. When in reality, they were the ones being judged. The one they convicted will actually serve as their judge one day, as he will also, who suppresses the truth, serve as the judge for someone that suppresses truth and unrighteousness. We know in history, it tells us that Pilate eventually never came to the knowledge of truth. Historian says that in the records, the fact that Pilate ultimately committed suicide sometime during the reign of the Emperor Caligula, a sad ending, and a reminder for everyone that ignoring the truth always leads to undesired consequences. That's all I have. Let's bow our heads tonight.